Hi dolls, today we are going to be making a seafood boil and we're just gonna go for it because I don't know if the setup looks correct, I don't know if the lighting looks correct, but we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna go for it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you all the ingredients that I use and we'll talk through the recipe. This is how I like my seafood boil, just, fair warning. If you do it a different way, that's okay. If you don't want any of these ingredients, you don't have to put them. It's just totally up to you. And that's why I love making a seafood boil at home. You can make it as saucy, as oniony, as garlicky as you want, or you can have none of those things. It's up to you. But this is my recipe, this is how I do it, and so I'm gonna show you that today. Firstly, I do wanna show you our ingredients that we're working with today. We have our crab legs and our lobster tail brining right now. If you wanted to, you could have more meat in here, you could have less meat in here, you can do shrimp. But today we are just doing crab legs, lobster tail, corn, red potatoes, and that's it. For the seasonings, we're gonna be using cayenne pepper, paprika, garlic powder, Old Bay seasoning, lemon pepper, and onion powder. And then we are also going to be using Better Than Bouillon. We're gonna try beef today and then chicken, and I'll show you which we're using which for. We have butter, we have lemons, garlic, and onion, and salt and pepper. These are all the things that we need for the seafood boil. So let's start by making our seasoning blend that we're gonna need. Now for the seasoning, you can buy a pre-made seasoning. I do know that the Juicy Crab sells their own seasoning blend already mixed. You just buy the seasoning and then you can throw it in whatever you're making. But today we're going to make our own. So this is how I do it. 2 tablespoons of Old Bay seasoning, 2 tablespoons of paprika, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. Now depending on how spicy you like it, you can put 1 tablespoon of cayenne powder. I'm just gonna do half a tablespoon of cayenne powder. We're gonna do 1 tablespoon of onion powder and 1 tablespoon of lemon pepper seasoning. This stuff is really strong, so you don't wanna use too much. Hello. Okay. We're gonna add some salt. Just add the salt with your heart, whenever you wanna stop. And some ground pepper. It already has pepper from the lemon pepper seasoning, so you don't need to add too much. Now, if you have a whisk, grab your whisk and we're gonna whisk this together. If you don't have a whisk, just use a spoon or a fork. This is the color that we're currently working with. I'm gonna add another tablespoon of paprika, simply for the color, because you want it to be a little more red than this. So 3 tablespoons of paprika. Oopsie. Okay, that looks really good. The camera is very bright, but this is the kind of red color that we want to go for. Now you can pour your seasoning in a jar, and this should last you for a couple seafood boils at least. Now let's talk about the brine for a second. So I like to brine my seafood. This is mostly water, but it's got some vinegar in there and some pickle juice and some lemon juice, and I left the lemon in there. So I like to brine my seafood because I don't really like that strong fishy flavor that you can get sometimes with seafood. So I find that the brine helps bring out that like sweet crab meat flavor that I'm looking for. And it just takes away some of that fishy taste that I really don't like. So I've been brining my seafood like this. You can leave it in here for a few hours if you want. This has been brining for a few hours at this point. So as soon as we get our water boiling, and we do our corn and our potatoes, we can throw this right into the pot. So at this point, I would go ahead and get my onions and my garlic ready because I like a lot in my seafood boil sauce. And so this is what I would do next. I actually had a bunch of garlic cloves and I minced them and I froze them. So this is exactly what this is for. Whenever I want to make a seafood boil, my garlic is ready. I make it in these big batches and then I have it ready to go. I probably will end up using this whole chunk right here. And this is a lot of minced garlic. This is probably like a whole clove, if not more than a whole clove, because I like it super garlicky. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and cut this onion and get the water boiling so that we can put our corn and our potatoes in there because those are gonna take the longest to cook. So I'm gonna cut my onion in half. So this whole onion is gonna go into the pot to cook the ingredients with. And I got my big pot here. And in the pot, we're gonna do our half of an onion. And I'm just straining the seeds out with my fingers. This does not have to be that serious. You wanna make sure you take the tag off and rinse your lemons, and this is going in the pot. All right, so I shucked my corn. Is that how you say it? I took the leaves off the corn, and I am just cooking for myself today, so I'm only gonna eat this many potatoes, this piece of corn, and this crab legs and lobster tail. You wanna make sure you rinse your potatoes so you get the dirt off. potatoes in the pot. Now, typically I would use my chicken bouillon for both the pot and the seafood boil sauce that we're gonna make. But today, because I'm running low on my chicken stock bouillon, I am going to be using the beef stock bouillon in the pot. I'm gonna take a tablespoon, dump it in there. I think this is gonna be fine because I think it's going to taste great with the crab meat and the ingredients in here. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm actually excited to try something a little bit different. We are also going to add some garlic cloves into the pot. This is just for flavor. Like I said, we have our frozen garlic for the sauce. So this is really just to add some flavor into the broth. Now we're gonna add our water. Now we're gonna stir this up a little bit. We're gonna add some of our seasoning blend to the broth. I just eyeball a lot of this recipe, you guys. Once you make it several times, you just know the recipe by heart, and you can make it spicier, you can make it not as spicy, it just totally depends. We're gonna add a little more. Perfect. This is gonna be really flavorful. Now let's put this on the stove and bring this to a boil. And while that's going on in the background, that's gonna take about an hour to cook through that potato and that corn, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour. So you wanna go ahead and get that started and going while you get the rest of your ingredients ready for your seafood boil sauce, which in my opinion is like the best part of the seafood boil. The crab and the lobster tail are only gonna need about 15 minutes to cook. So we're gonna go ahead and get that going, wait to put this in, and get our sauce ready on the side. I like a lot of onions and a lot of garlic in my sauce. So we're gonna take the other half of this onion, I removed the top and the bottom, and we are going to make super thin pieces of onion, because what's gonna happen is once this cooks in the sauce, it's gonna create, like when you're scooping the sauce, all these onions are gonna get caught up in your food so that you can actually eat some of them. And I just prefer that. I just prefer that with my seafood boil. A lot of onion that you can scoop, and it's gonna cook down. It's gonna make it a lot smaller once it starts cooking. This is also the time when you would go ahead and mince your garlic. If you had a full thing of garlic like this, you would use this entire bulb to make your minced garlic. If you don't have a full bulb of garlic and you wanna use minced garlic, that's okay too. Nobody's gonna stop you. And I don't think it would affect the flavor either if you wanted to use minced garlic versus mincing it yourself. But like I said, I like to keep my frozen minced garlic ready for me for this occasion exactly. So I'm gonna take about this much garlic, and that's gonna go in with our sauce as well. And like I said, I really like a lot of garlic, so I think I'm gonna do that much. I hope I don't regret that. Now we have a little bit of time while that's boiling. I forgot to say we are also going to be having eggs in the seafood boil, so I'm gonna get these ready to go. I just put these in my egg cooker. I have an egg cooker that I got at Target for like $15, and we're gonna put this in there and make them soft boiled, and then we're gonna put them in ice, and so then when we are ready, we can just add them to the seafood boil. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, we've got our eggs in the ice bath. The corn and the potatoes have been boiling for about 30 minutes now. Here's what our corn and potatoes and onions are looking like. That looks so good. So it's time to get our sauce ready. So first things first, I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil into my pot, and we kind of need a lot of this because we want the onions and the garlic to caramelize. I like avocado oil, but you can use any oil that has a high smoke point, so this or vegetable oil. Let's go ahead and get this hot. Now that our oil is hot, we're going to add our onions first. And our garlic. And we're gonna add some salt and pepper to this. And we're gonna go ahead and let this saute on the stove for a little bit. Now we're gonna create a cup of broth for the sauce. So you're going to need your seasoning. We're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of the seafood seasoning. And we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of the chicken bouillon. Add some hot water and mix this up. All right, now stir this up, and we're gonna have a little bit over a cup of the broth for the sauce. Now your onions and garlic is gonna look like this, and then we're gonna pour our sauce right on top. And that mix that up, and then this is what it's looking like now, very thick with the onions and the garlic. And we're gonna put this back on the stove and bring it to a boil. Now we're gonna strain our crab and our lobster tail. Now this is what the crab looks like. This is snow crab clusters. And then I have 1 lobster tail. And we're gonna go ahead and prepare the lobster tail so that it's easier to pull out when we are ready to eat it. To prepare your lobster tail, you're just gonna cut right down the back all the way to the tail. Then this part's a little bit tedious, but you're going to peel the meat out from the shell, trying to get it to stay intact. Just like that. I just like slid my thumb up under there. And same with the other side. And you are gonna wanna make sure it's deveined so that you get any of that poo-poo out. All right, now that it's nice and clean, we're going to take the meat and kind of just pull it out of the shell and then lay it right on top. That's kind of how you see them when they serve them to you at a restaurant. They pull the meat out and just set it on top of the shell. That's kind of what makes it look fuller than it actually is, because as you can see, this is like a really small piece of meat. This is honestly like a colossal shrimp to me. Like, this is a small piece of lobster tail, but it's gonna be delicious regardless. So the lobster tail is ready. Okay, here's what our sauce is looking like now that we have brought it to a boil, and we're just gonna let this simmer for as long as it takes to cook the crab and the lobster tail, and then we're gonna be ready. So we're gonna go ahead and put our crab legs in for 15 minutes, and then we'll add the lobster tail when we have about 5 minutes left on the crab legs, and that'll be perfectly cooked. Crab legs are in. Alexa, start a timer for 15 minutes.
15-minute timer is running.
When we are ready to put the lobster tail in, we are also going to put the eggs in with the broth that's cooking, so that way these will get heated back up because they were in an ice bath so that we could peel them. So these eggs have been peeled. They're gonna warm back up in the broth with the lobster tail, and then we are also going to be adding half of a lemon and butter into the sauce. You wanna add the lemon and the butter to the sauce last, in my opinion, because it keeps the flavor of the lemon being something that's like a note of lemon sitting on top, and it gives the butter just enough time to mix into the sauce, but not enough time to create like a layer of butter on top. So that's the sweet spot. Here's what our sauce is looking like. It's thick, it smells so good, it's super seasoned. We're gonna go ahead and add our half of a lemon, and you can use as much butter as you want. This is what I'm gonna use for the sauce. And we're gonna throw this back on the stove so that that heats up. Alexa, what's my timer at?
Your timer has 6 minutes and 55 seconds remaining.
Perfect. We're gonna go ahead and put the lobster tail in to start cooking this. If you're feeling like you want a little bit of fresh green in your sauce, you can do jalapenos. Sometimes I'll add fresh jalapenos, or you can do some cilantro, you can do some parsley, and that just brings a little bit of green into it. For the sake of time, I'm not gonna add that. Here's what we got going on in the stove. Whoa, that was steamy. We got the lobster tail right here. This is actually already cooked, so that only took about 3 minutes, literally. And then we got the crab legs, the eggs are heating up in here, the corn, and we got the potatoes in there. Here's that onion. Over here, we got the sauce cooking, and this is just on low simmer, and that is looking so good. We got the cleanup crew here to help, and these are ready. So we're gonna go ahead and strain this and plate this up. We got the eggs, the potatoes, putting the crab legs in here, and the lobster tail. See how small that got? Tiny. That in there. Then we're gonna cut this corn in half. It should cut really easily since it's cooked correctly. Throw these in there. Now what I like to do is I'm gonna pour a little bit of this on top, but I'm gonna use most of it to pour in here on the side because I like to dip it in. And here's our final product. We got the crab oil. This looks so good, you guys. This looks amazing. And we got the sauce on the side. Look at all those onions. This is gonna be so good. If you're fancy, you can put a little bit of lemon juice on the top of everything. And there's your seafood boil ready to eat. This is the foundation recipe that I use. But like I said, if you want it more spicy or less spicy, you can tailor it to your taste buds. You can use whatever seafood that you want. A lot of people will add mussels, shrimp, sausage. Obviously you can put whatever you want in it, but this is what was at my local grocery store. I've actually never tried mussels, and I've been thinking about it a lot because they look so good when other people do it. And so that is my seafood boil recipe. I hope you enjoyed this cooking video. If you want more cooking videos, let me know. So grateful for you watching this. Leave me a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this content and want to see more. I appreciate the support so much. You have no idea. Make sure you come back so you can see what we are cooking next. Come back for part 2 so you can watch me eat this. Thanks for watching, dolls. Bye.